Are you better off than you were 4 years ago? Let me just give you the hard facts. Unemployed Americans on Inauguration Day are up now by almost 500,000 people. Unemployment rate is up by 3.8% since the day of inauguration. Long-term unemployment up 87%. Middle-class income down $3,960. Gas prices up 107%. Home values down 11%. Worker health insurance cost up 23%. Sending your kids to college up since Inauguration Day, up 25%. Americans in poverty, up 6.4 million. Food stamp recipients, up 46%. Consumer price index, inflation, what you pay for things, up 9.1%. Federal debt, up 51%. Debt per person, you now owe, since Inauguration Day, $16,306 more than you did than the day he walked in. And U.S. global competitiveness. We were number 1 the day he walked into office. We're now number 7. Are you better off? Is the country better positioned? Are we in better shape? That's not even talking about the Arab Spring.
Those are devastating stats.
Why they're not everywhere. It makes you question the press even more than you already did. The stats are there. It is extraordinarily clear. Just spread those stats. Are you better off? It's clear. Are we better poised to take? How are you going to ever retake and regain the lifestyle that we all want for our children if we are number 7 in competitiveness? And what does that come from? Cup stacking, I contend. Everybody saying, oh, well, let's not compete. Oh, well, let's get everybody a trophy. Oh, well, let's grade on the curve.
Cup stacking's very competitive. I don't know why.
Very competitive. Why
it.
would you take on cup stacking? That's really cool.
It is a complete...
You know they do it really fast.
It's a complete disregard for the truth.
The cup stacker union's all over us now. That's what's going to happen. They're going to be a boycott and everything.
You ever seen the cup stacking competition?
Everything that we have in our nation, everything that we thought we were, everything that is common sense has been thrown out the window.
Do we have those stats somewhere? Can we post those? For people to tweet or send around?
Can you have those?
Would you like to tweet them?
I would like to tweet them.
We will have them tweeted.
Thank you very much. All right. Yesterday, we also broke the news on the latest in the Arab Spring. We didn't talk to you about we didn't talk to you about my theory on what happened really in Libya. We'll have to do that. Could you write this down? Top of next hour. What really happened in Libya? Talking to a friend of mine this morning, she said, I went home and I watched you on Dish last night, and I saw you lay this case out. She's like, oh my gosh, that's what happened. Yeah, that's what happened. And I'm telling you, it is as big as Watergate. The cover-up is always worse than the crime. This president knew. Have you heard anybody in mainstream media ask the question, what did the president know and when did he know it?
No.
The questions that we asked ourselves as a news organization when this story first broke led to a whole string of things that are shocking. Shocking. This president is covering something very, very bad. And it all revolves around Libya. And if you buy into the lie of the film, then you have done the work of the Muslim Brotherhood. This president is doing the work of the Muslim Brotherhood. On this network, on the Blaze TV, on September, it's a 2-night event. Hang on, let me grab it here. On September 26th, which is a Wednesday, and Thursday, September 27th at 8 p.m., I believe we're doing the most important documentary we've ever done, and we've done some really important documentaries. This is more explosive. Do you remember the first night we did on CNN? We did Uncovered or the Hidden Agenda, or what was it? All of the stuff on the Middle East, the things that people were saying in the Middle East about us that nobody had ever seen. It beat O'Reilly that night on headline news. And it was one of the bigger things that we had ever done. We since then have done many documentaries exposing the truth. This is probably the most critical. You want an October surprise? It's happening the last week of September. This is probably the most critical documentary or work that maybe we've ever done. We are telling America over 2 nights in documentary form about what's called the Project. The Project is the Muslim Brotherhood's plan to overthrow America. It was found, I believe, in Switzerland about 3 weeks before or after 9/11. It's 80 boxes of information. Very little of it has ever been released to the general public. We're releasing everything we possibly can and showing you their plan. This president is executing the Muslim Brotherhood's plan almost step by step, word for word. What he's saying is the response to Libya, which is, we got to stop speech like that guy made on YouTube. That is the Muslim Brotherhood plan. That's one of the steps. And he's executing every single one of them. It's critical that you tell everybody you know. It's critical that you have watch parties. If you know somebody who has Dish, channel 212, you see if you can go over to their house and watch it together. Tell everybody you know. The Project on the Blaze. It'll be at 8 p.m. on September 26th and 8 p.m. on September 27th. 2 nights. Watch it as a nation. It is vital to our survival. It's a pretty big charge to say the president is engaged in executing the project, executing the work of the Muslim Brotherhood. But we broke a story yesterday. I will tell you that the people that are working on this documentary with us and are working on some documentaries on the border are literally risking their lives. The people who are working on this documentary didn't trust us until we did our first documentary on the border and the Muslim Brotherhood, Rumors of War 3. They gave us little bits of information to see if we would actually say them and put them on TV. They're not going to risk their lives. They're not going to risk everything they have and then just have it sit there and not be seen and not have somebody stand up for it. Since we did that, the floodgates have opened up. And we have people like we have 2 sources from the State Department on a story that we broke at 5 o'clock yesterday that is critical. The United States, the State Department, is currently in negotiations with the Egyptian government for the transfer of custody of the blind sheik for humanitarian and health reasons. The negotiations are part of an ongoing discussion with the Egyptian government to resolve the crisis. He is currently serving a life sentence in federal prison for his role in authorizing the World Trade Center attack in '93 and a planned day of terror attacks. Morsi, in the Wall Street Journal, publicly stated that the release of the blind sheik is one of his top demands in Egypt's relations with the United States. Already, the president of the United States has had the Muslim Brotherhood over to the White House, and that was the talking point. We want the blind sheik. Let me play some audio that happened. This was August 4th on the Blaze. The people involved was the top Pentagon Islamic advisor for the Pentagon. He was the guy who told everybody at the Pentagon, this is what's going on. He knows this inside and out. One of the top guys formerly at the State Department. Who else was at the table? Do you know, Pat? I think somebody from the NSA, formerly of the NSA, was at the table. And we were talking about, there are 4 of them, and we were talking about the Muslim Brotherhood and this president, and the blind sheik came up. Listen to this.
He's a hero. Right. And he's a hero to people like the Muslim Brotherhood. And the Muslim Brotherhood wants him out because he's one of theirs. And I think that that's what has to be said. But if that's what has to be said, we have to understand that when the blind sheikh didn't get the job done, they sent in Al-Qaeda. Okay, so when we're talking about who they want out, first of all, if he doesn't get released, you can just bet there's going to be some act of terrorism to cause that to happen, or something that's going to cause it.
Do you think he'll be released?
Yes, I do.
You think he'll be released?
Yes.
You think he'll be released?
After the election, yes.
You think he'll be released?
I do.
Okay, let's start it again. If Romney wins, do you think he'll be released?
Yes.
If Romney wins, do you think he'll be released?
Yes.
If Romney wins?
Not by Romney.
Not by Romney, no.
Well, in between the election.
Oh, in between the election.
Well,
Holy cow.
Yes, that's a big problem.
Patrick Poole is one of the guys sitting at the table, and he is a leading authority. Because George Soros says, he, of course, is a very dangerous anti-Islamic man. He's nothing of the sort. He is a truth teller. And he has really been leading this. He was leading that discussion back around the table in August. And he's been telling me this for a while. We've been talking about it. We've talked about it on this show and on television. I would like to ask you if you have a DVR to start recording the shows again like you used to at 5 o'clock. Get Dish if you don't have it, and make sure the Blaze is part of your package, and start taping them at 5 o'clock. We are on to really, really dark and dangerous things that America needs to know about, because this president is, I believe, setting up the Bubba moment, the Bubba effect. And what the Bubba effect is something I've talked to you for probably 6 or 7 years, that when the federal government, who has not listened to the American people, not done the right thing to keep us safe, not moved forward on anything, in fact, done the exact opposite, when there is a terrorist strike, they're on the wrong side of it. And when they said send federal authorities in to, go pick up Bubba because Bubba, took a swipe at somebody and he was wrong for doing it. Basically, he made a movie, and everybody knows that movie sucks. It's stupid. It's awful, and it shouldn't have been made, but he has a right to make it. When the federal authorities swoop in to go get that guy, that's when Bubba next door says, you know what? I don't think so. You guys are the problem. You guys are the ones who are violating the Constitution. I don't think so. This is one of the main things the military in our country has been afraid of, called the Bubba effect. They don't know how it's going to start, but they believe it will. I think this president is setting it up. You release the blind sheik. By the way, our sources stand by this. The Justice Department denied it. The State Department did not. But they stand by it and say he will be released after the election. Only time will tell. Only time will tell. But God help us if we're right on that one. God help us if that story doesn't get out and the president doesn't have to respond and say the blind sheik will never be. The president needs to say the blind sheik will never be released. I still don't take the man at his word, but at least that's something. If he doesn't do it, he will. If he doesn't make that statement, he will release the blind sheik on humanitarian. He's blind, he's old, he's sick. Exactly the way this president did it with the Lockerbie bomber. Oh, he had 6 weeks to live, remember? He's still alive today.